So are you like the children? Are you having a hard time naming what you are hoping for? What you are waiting for? For years and years and years and years and eons now, the words have been said, but we're waiting for Jesus to come again. Really? 2,000 years of waiting is a long time. Don't you wonder how many people, even sitting in sanctuaries, don't you wonder how many people actually believe that Jesus will come again? 2,000 years of waiting. What are you waiting for? How will Jesus coming again change your life? I don't ask these questions idly, and I don't ask them of you before I have asked them of myself over and over and over again. The text from 2 Peter was very powerful. For the first time, I really heard what that writer is saying, that it would be easy to think that God is just plain slow. But take that text home and read it again. God is not slow as most people think of slow. God is patient. That's a lot to take home. The God we trust is a God of patience, waiting, looking, and finding each one of us. The beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ. That's the way Mark starts his gospel. Actually, if it were published as a separate book, that would be the title on the book. The beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That would be the title of the book. Mark probably thought he was writing a biography of Jesus. But this biography is different than most biographies we read. Most biographies we read start with the day and the place where the person was born, tells us who his parents were, does all the nitty-gritty, even as we remember Nora this morning with us in worship for the first time. She was born on Monday. So if someone is going to tell the story of Nora, they're going to name when she was born, and they're going to talk about her mom and dad. When Mark starts the gospel of Jesus Christ, Mark names it the beginning of the good news. This is not about the particulars of Jesus' birth. Nowhere in Mark does he ever tell us one word about Jesus' birth. What Mark is wanting us to understand is this coming of Jesus Christ into our lives, into our world, the Messiah long promised. The coming of this Jesus is the beginning of a new era. Things are going to be different from here on out because Jesus was born among us. And Jesus dwells with us, gives us his body and blood every Sunday in the sacrament. The beginning of the good news. Things are going to be different from here on out. That's what I want to know if we believe or not. Once you leave worship, is it okay? Waiting for Jesus. He's back where I do in the sanctuary. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday come, and I get back to life. I get back to reality. I find it with myself. I find it really, really difficult to keep that focus. That because Jesus Christ came into the world sent as a gift by God the Father. Things are different. So Mark doesn't start out with Jesus. Mark starts out with John the Baptist. And who is this John the Baptist guy anyway? Next Sunday we're going to hear another story about John according to the Gospel of John. And according to the Gospel of John, this is a different John than the one that Mark is telling us about. Mark says he wore camel's hair and he had a leather belt. Well, what does that mean? That means that the people thought this was Elijah. They thought it was Elijah because back in 2 Kings, when Elijah appears on the scene, this great prophet of God, this is how they describe him, a hairy man with a leather belt around his waist. And for those of you who came up to the children's sermon, guess what he ate for breakfast? Grasshoppers. Kind of a strange guy, don't you think? Pretty strange. The people who had been following God's word all along said, that must be Elijah. Because Elijah had camel's hair for his clothing. Elijah had a leather belt. So why did they think John the Baptist would be Elijah? Well, if you go to the end of the prophet Malachi, this is God talking. God says, "Lo, I will send you the prophet Elijah before the great and terrible day of the Lord. Elijah will turn the hearts of the parents to their children, and the hearts of the children to their parents." That's what they were waiting for. Because Malachi promised Elijah's going to come back before the Messiah comes. So here comes John the Baptist eating grasshoppers and wild honey out of beehives and dressed in weird clothes. And he looks just like Elijah did. This must be Elijah. It must be the beginning of the end. When we come to worship next Sunday and we hear the words from John's Gospel, and as John tells us about John the Baptist, we will hear John the Baptist say, "I am not Elijah." That's not me. So you and I have the task of hearing Mark's perception of John the Baptist as a prophet in the same manner as Elijah, with the same kind of importance. Or the way that John will talk about him next week. Like most of us, John the Baptist wasn't very easy to figure out. To one person he looked a certain way. To another person he had a totally different persona. What Mark wants us to hear about John the Baptist is that he was a truth teller. What's a truth teller? Do you like someone who tells you the truth? Do you like the mirror that tells you the truth every morning? Or do you dim the lights when you go in the bathroom the first thing in the morning because you don't like the truth of what the mirror shows? That's me. It's like, keep the lights down. I was in my friend's house in Pennsylvania, and they live in a stone house from 1802. One of the most significant things is the lights are really dim. I came out of the bathroom the first morning and I said to her, "I really like these old houses. I look a lot better in the morning in this dark bathroom than I do with all the blazing lights." Do we like truth tellers? John the Baptist told it the way it was. And speaking for myself, truth tellers are hard to face. What's a truth teller? It's not a fortune teller. It's not telling the future in some kind of a magical way. It's telling what's going to happen as a consequence of the way I live today. If I get my paycheck on Saturday and I spend it all on Saturday and Saturday night, guess what? By the end of next week, I won't have any money left, and I won't be able to buy food. That's prophet talk. It's explaining what is now and the consequences that will come. If we continue not to take our air and water and soil needs seriously, our children and our grandchildren are not going to have a beautiful world to live in. That's truth. It's not magic fortune. So as you think about John the Baptist, and as he's got all these people down at the river saying, you know what? You got to get ready for this Jesus. This Jesus is coming, and it's sort of like a children's game of hide and seek, without, in a sense, the hiding. Tyler is 5 and Cohen is 3. When I was at their house last week, they love to play inside the house hide and seek. Tyler at 5 gets it. She can hide under the bed and stay there a long time until you find her. Cohen, who's 3, thinks she's hiding when she's standing between 2 chairs and she's still ready for you to find her, 5 minutes ago. She can't wait for this finding. What both Tyler and Cohen know is what you and I know. It's that the finding is what makes it such a fun game. And that's the message of John the Baptist. God is saying, I am coming, here I come, ready or not. Doesn't depend if you get good enough. Doesn't depend if you do all the right things. I'm coming, and I am going to find you. I am going to find you. Every person who is hungry in Syria, every person in Ferguson, Missouri, who's scared to go out of their doors, every family who's lost a son to a beheading this fall, God is saying, I'm coming to find you. And when I come, in ways you can't imagine, you will be whole. You will be healthy in every way that wholeness and health matters. And here's the really good news. It's not just for you, and you, or me. This God promises this for the whole world. God has no favorites. That's why God says the last shall be first. That's how much God will look for ours. Even when we feel like we matter not at all. All earth is hopeful. The Savior comes at last. Hymn number 266, I'm sure it will be on your screen. Pay attention to the words. They are